Okay, beautiful soul, let's cut straight to the heart of the whirlwind you're dancing in. You know that excruciatingly familiar moment when you look at his resistance, his retreat, that seemingly impenetrable wall he's built, and a voice inside you whispers, raw and aching, what if this isn't just about us? What if the ground shaking beneath your feet isn't just personal quicksand, but the tremors of something ancient, something vast, finally beginning to shift? What if his most baffling withdrawal, his fiercest clinging to control that feels like sand slipping through your fingers, is less about your worthiness and more about the silent, heavy inheritance he carries in his bones? The weight of generations whispering warnings he can barely comprehend. Let's wander down this path beneath the surface where the roots tangle deep into the past. Imagine his ego, that fortress of logic, control, stoicism, maybe even charming detachment, not merely as his creation, but as a relic. A heavy, ornate, slightly dusty heirloom passed down through the masculine line, hand to reluctant hand, like an unwieldy family sword. Nobody quite knows how to use anymore, but feels obligated to carry, engraved on its hilt. The silent, suffocating commandments, feelings drown men. Vulnerability is defeat. Control the woman, control the chaos. Grief is a luxury you bury. The heart, a liability best kept under lock and key. He didn't forge this armor piece by piece in solitude. He was fitted for it at birth, the cold metal chilling his skin long before he understood its purpose. It absorbed the tremor in his grandfather's voice when speaking of loss, the rigid set of his father's shoulders bearing burdens never named, the collective sigh of men who learned to translate love into provision and protection, severing the vital cord to the messy, magnificent ocean of feeling within. So when you, radiant and real, stand before him radiating that divine feminine truth, unapologetically feeling, fiercely boundaried, demanding presence over performance, you aren't just challenging him, you're holding a mirror up to centuries of conditioned fear. You embody the very depth, the very wildness that the armor was forged to deflect, and your unwavering stand? It's like striking a tuning fork forged from pure soullight against that ancient inherited metal. The dissonance is terrifying. For him, yes, but also, profoundly, for the ghosts. This, beloved, is where the personal becomes ancestral, where your sacred stand ignites a healing fire that licks backward through time. His ego's collapse, that terrifying necessary crumbling we spoke of, isn't just his dark night. It's a ritual enacted on a stage much grander than your relationship. It's a generational exorcism. When he finally breaks, when the dam holding back a reservoir of inherited, unwept tears finally gives way under the relentless pressure of your authentic presence, it isn't just his sorrow flooding out. It's the grief his father swallowed whole, the heartache his grandfather buried with his uniform, the stifled rage of men told their softness was sin, as he learns, stumblingly, to lead from the vulnerable heart space instead of the shielded intellect or the clenched fist. He isn't just changing his script, he's painstakingly translating the entire tattered manuscript of his lineage. He becomes a bridge, shaky at first, then stronger, between the fractured masculinity of the past and the integrated wholeness struggling to be born. His surrender isn't weakness, it's the most potent act of courage imaginable. He volunteers, often blindly, kicking and screaming, to be the one who feels what his bloodline couldn't, who absorbs the poison so the next generation might taste purity. Think of it as the lone tree breaking the force of a storm for the saplings behind it. Why does the resistance feel so geological, so much bigger than a simple relationship hiccup? Because it is. You're not just navigating his fear, you're brushing against the accumulated terror of generations, the terror of losing control in a world that punished vulnerability, the terror of the feminine's perceived chaos they were taught to dominate or flee. When he recoils from your depth, it's often not you he sees, but the distorted reflection of every woman his ancestors feared or failed, every emotion they were taught to suppress within themselves. That's why the push-pull can feel like wrestling a shadow army, because energetically you are. His failure isn't personal inadequacy, though the ego loves that narrative. It's the gravitational pull of ancestral gravity whispering, danger, retreat, fortify. His breakdown, therefore, is sacred demolition. Holy work. He's dismantling the family crypt to let the light in. So, when you stand firm in your truth, radiating that unshakable love that refuses to enable the old patterns, you are the earthquake the lineage needed. You are the force that makes the stagnant waters churn. Hold your ground, divine catalyst. Your steadfastness isn't cruelty. It's the fierce grace that allows the river of his lineage, forced into narrow, barren channels for too long, to finally burst its banks. Okay, beautiful soul, let's get real about this breaking the masculine ego business. It sounds dramatic, maybe even a little vengeful, doesn't it? Like some cosmic showdown where the divine feminine finally gets to say, "Checkmate, buddy." But hold on. If we're diving deep, and I mean deep, past the surface level memes and the tired twin flame tropes, we uncover a mystery so profound it rewrites the entire script. This final test, it's not about you breaking him. It's about you holding a mirror so impeccably clear, so unwavering in its reflection of truth, that the fortress he thought was his strength, his ego, finally reveals itself as the prison it always was. And the key? Soul sovereignty. Let's wander down this path together. Imagine this. He's built this intricate structure over years, decades, lifetimes even. Call it his persona, his coping mechanisms, his how to survive and seem strong in a demanding world manual. It's made of polished logic, carefully controlled emotions, or the strategic suppression of them. Maybe a dash of charming arrogance, a heavy reliance on fixing rather than feeling, and walls thick enough to deflect any perceived threat to his carefully constructed sense of control. It looks impressive from the outside, solid, reliable, maybe even intimidating. It feels like power to him. You know this structure intimately. You've bumped against its walls, felt the chill of its distance, witnessed the way it filters genuine connection into something safer, more manageable, less real. And your soul knows this isn't him, not the real him, the him buried beneath centuries of how a man should be. Here's where the alchemy happens, the part most miss completely. Your final test isn't about attacking the fortress with battering rams of emotion or ultimatums. Goodness, no, that just makes the walls higher, the defenses stronger. It's far more subtle, far more potent. It's you, standing radiantly in your own sovereignty, centered, whole, unshakably connected to your divine core. and simply refusing to play the old game anymore. You refuse to absorb his projections, that frustration he dumps because he can't handle his own, the subtle blame shifting when things get emotionally dense, the spiritual bypassing where he talks about high vibes while avoiding the messy human feelings right in front of him. You stop shrinking to make his structure feel bigger. You stop explaining your boundaries. You simply live them with a quiet, immovable grace. You love him fiercely, but you love yourself and your truth just as fiercely. You become the unwavering flame that illuminates the cracks in his facade, not by pointing fingers, but by being the light that makes the shadows visible. And then, the tremor, that moment when he realizes the old tactics don't work. The charm falls flat. The logic fails to dismiss your authentic feeling. The deflection bounces back. The walls he relied on suddenly feel suffocating. That's the sacred demolition beginning. It's not you wielding the wrecking ball, darling. It's the sheer, undeniable resonance of your embodied truth creating an internal earthquake within him. His carefully managed world starts to shake. The control he clutched like a life raft feels slippery, useless. That strength he wore like armor suddenly feels heavy, isolating, false. This is where it gets scary. For him, absolutely, but often for you too, watching the storm rage within someone you love. It looks like chaos, resistance, maybe even regression. He might lash out, retreat further, or seem utterly lost. Don't mistake this for failure. This is the necessary, terrifying, beautiful crumbling. The ego, that false self, is fighting for its survival. It's loud, it's messy, it's profoundly uncomfortable, like watching a building implode in slow motion. But here's the breathtaking secret. Within that implosion, within that terrifying emptiness where the ego once stood guard, lies the fertile void, the sacred void. This isn't a vacuum of nothingness. It's the birthplace of everything real. It's the space where the noise dies down, the defenses fall away, and what's left, him, stripped bare, vulnerable, raw, authentic. Not the persona built on shoulds and inherited masculine scripts, but the essence of his soul. This is soul sovereignty emerging. It feels like weakness to the old paradigm. Where's the bluster? Where's the unflappable control? But oh, beautiful witness, can't you feel the real power humming beneath the surface now? It's the quiet strength of presence, the courage to feel deeply without armor, the humility to say, I don't know, or I hurt, the willingness to lead not from dominance, but from a heart rooted in its own divine authority. This is autonomy, not the illusions of control over life and you, but the profound power that comes from standing in life, authentically, vulnerably, connected to his own soul's compass. He discovers his strength isn't out there in managing perceptions or outcomes. It's in here, in the unshakable core of his being. He stops performing masculinity and starts embodying it from a place of genuine integrity. So, when you witness the resistance, the fear, the apparent crumbling, breathe. Don't panic. Don't rush in to fix it or soften the blow. That's the old dance. Hold your space. Hold your light. Trust the alchemy. You are not destroying him. You are midwifing his rebirth into his truest, most powerful self. A self whose power comes from authenticity, not armor, from connection, not control, from the soul deep sovereignty that finally allows him to meet you, truly meet you, in the sacred space of union. It's messy, It's not linear. Some days it looks like 2 steps back. But feel into that quiet hum beneath the chaos. Can you sense the oak growing stronger? And you know what's truly fascinating? This sovereignty he finds. It changes everything. Not just for your connection, but for how he moves in the world. The way he fathers, leads, creates, exists. But that's a conversation about the ancient echoes waiting to be healed, isn't it? How his personal liberation might just untangle threads woven through generations. But perhaps we wander down that path next time. The tea's still warm after all. All right, beautiful soul, let's wander into the deeper woods of this journey. You've felt it, haven't you? That sense that the intensity swirling between you and your twin flame isn't just personal. It's like standing in a vast, echoing hall where whispers from centuries past brush against your skin. That final test, the divine feminine holding her unshakable ground, mirroring truth until the masculine's ego begins to fracture. We talked about how it births his soul's sovereignty. But darling, that cracking sound, it echoes far beyond him, far beyond you. It ripples down ancestral lines, shaking loose dust from souls long gone, healing wounds written in the very marrow of his lineage. This isn't just his breakdown, it's a sacred exorcism for generations. Let's sit with this mystery. Think of his ego structure for a moment. Not just as his coping mechanism, but as an heirloom, a heavy, ornate, slightly tarnished piece of furniture passed down through the masculine line. Carved into it, the unspoken rules: don't cry, provide, protect at all costs. Feelings are weakness. Dominate or be dominated. Grieve silently. Never appear vulnerable. The heart is a liability. He didn't invent this blueprint, he inherited it. He absorbed it with his father's stern gaze, his grandfather's stoic silence. The collective sigh of men who learned to armor their hearts to survive wars, literal and emotional, they never signed up for. His resistance, that fierce clinging to control, that fear of the emotional depths you embody. It's often not just his fear. It's ancestral terror made manifest. The terror of losing control in a world that punished their vulnerability. The terror of the feminine depth they were taught to distrust within themselves and reflected in the world. When he looks into your eyes and flinches, sometimes it's not you he sees, but generations of men recoiling from what they couldn't understand, couldn't control, couldn't feel. So, when you stand firm, rooted in your divine feminine truth, radiating that unapologetic wholeness, refusing to shrink or absorb his projections, you're doing something radical. You're not just challenging him. You're challenging the entire script. You become the living embodiment of the very thing that ancestral fear was built to defend against, the untamed, feeling, boundary-holding, sovereign feminine. And your steadfastness, it's like holding a tuning fork vibrating at the frequency of pure, integrated love right against that ancient, inherited structure. The resonance is unbearable for the old energy. It has to shake. It has to crumble. Here's where the magic, the terrifyingly beautiful alchemy, unfolds on a scale we rarely grasp. His ego's collapse, that sacred demolition we spoke of, isn't just a personal event. It's a ritual, a generational ritual. As he finally surrenders, as those inherited walls of stoicism, emotional avoidance, and performative strength begin to dissolve under the fierce, loving light of your truth. something profound happens in the unseen realms. Imagine those ancestral threads, tangled, knotted, heavy with suppressed grief, unmet longing, and distorted power, suddenly finding release. As he allows the tears he was never permitted to shed, he sheds tears for his father's unwept sorrow, his grandfather's buried heartache. As he embraces vulnerability, he creates a crack in the dam, holding back centuries of armored emotion. As he learns to lead from the heart, not just the head or the fist, he rewrites the code. He becomes a conduit, a bridge between the old, fractured paradigm of masculinity and the new, integrated one struggling to be born. Why does it feel so damn hard, so existential? Because it is. When he resists, it often feels bigger than just him being stubborn, doesn't it? It feels like wrestling a ghost, or a legion of them. That's because he is. He's carrying the weight, the karma, the unfinished emotional business of his line. His failure to meet you initially isn't just personal inadequacy, though the ego loves that story. It's the gravitational pull of generations whispering, danger, retreat, armor up. His breakdown, therefore, isn't defeat, it's a sacrifice. He's volunteering, often unconsciously, to be the one who stops the cycle, the one who feels what his ancestors couldn't, the one who breaks the chain. That's immense. That's holy work, and it requires a courage that defies description. Picture a river. For generations, the masculine energy in his line has been forced into narrow, rigid channels. Predictable, controlled, but stagnant. Life flowed, yes, but without the wild, nourishing overflow of the floodplain, without the meandering curves that create rich ecosystems. Your divine feminine presence, your unwavering stand, is like a monumental rainstorm. It demands the river overflow its banks. It demands it reclaim its natural, wild, fertile path. The collapse of his ego structure is the banks giving way. It looks like chaos. Muddy water everywhere. The old landscape is submerged. But what emerges? Fertile silt, new life, a river flowing with its full vital force, nourishing land that was once barren. His surrender isn't destruction, it's the return of the watershed. He heals the land of his lineage by allowing the flood. This is why union feels like more than just two souls. It feels like a cosmic reset button. When he emerges from that sacred void, grounded in his soul sovereignty, having integrated those fractured ancestral energies, and meets you in your full radiance, you're not just two people coming together. You become a living template, a beacon. You demonstrate the healed masculine and feminine dancing in harmony, not as dominance and submission, but as equals, sovereigns unto themselves, co-creating from wholeness. This energy doesn't stop at your doorstep. It radiates. It whispers to the sons and daughters of his line. It's safe to feel. It's safe to be whole. It offers healing backward and forward in time. The weight lifts not just from his shoulders, but from the shoulders of boys yet unborn. So, when you witness his struggle, when the ancestral ghosts seem to howl the loudest, when the resistance feels ancient and immovable, remember the river. Hold your ground, radiant one. Your love, your truth, your unwavering stand is the rainstorm the entire lineage has been waiting for, even if they cursed the clouds. You're not just loving a man. You're midwifing the rebirth of an entire stream of consciousness. That's not pressure. That's privilege. And the peace that follows the flood, it's deeper than any temporary calm. It's the silence of ghosts finally laid to rest, of wounds finally breathing free. It's the sound of generations exhaling. And the most astonishing part, this healing you catalyze together doesn't just rewrite his past. It quietly begins to weave a new future, stitching threads of wholeness into the fabric of what's yet to come. But how? Well, let's just say the universe has a way of turning healed wounds into maps for others. Perhaps that's a story for another fire. The embers are still glowing. So here you stand, beautiful soul, at the precipice of understanding that feels less like an ending and more like a horizon finally coming into focus. You've journeyed through the intimate fire of his ego's sacred demolition, felt the ancient tremors shake loose the dust of generations, and witnessed how your unwavering stand wasn't a battle cry, but the resonant frequency calling an entire lineage home. And now we arrive not at a finish line, but at the breathtaking vista where the shattered pieces reveal their true purpose, not as ruins, but as the very foundation for a new architecture of being. This isn't closure, it's commencement. Let's breathe into this expansive view together. Forget the idea that this path culminates in some perfect, static state of union where the struggle evaporates like morning mist. That's a fairy tale, and frankly, a boring one. The real miracle, the profound alchemy you've been midwifing, is the transformation of struggle itself. The friction, the resistance, the moments where you both felt like clumsy dancers stepping on each other's souls. That wasn't dysfunction. It was the necessary friction, polishing the facets of your individual and collective brilliance. Imagine two distinct, potent minerals, say diamond and obsidian, forced together under immense pressure deep within the earth. The grinding isn't destruction. It's the very process that allows them over eons to form something entirely new, something impossibly strong and radiantly unique. A rare gem born only through that specific sacred collision. Your journey is that geological marvel happening in real time. His broken ego, your refined boundaries, the healed wounds echoing down his bloodline. These aren't scars to hide, but the unique striations, the beautiful imperfections that make the gem of your connection utterly irreplaceable. This union isn't the absence of pressure, it's the mastery of dancing within it, using its force to create, not crumble. This is where the personal truly becomes universal. When you choose to stand firm, not from a place of rigid expectation, but from the deep wellspring of your soul's sovereignty. When you love him fiercely and release the need to control his awakening timeline, you step into a role far grander than partner or catalyst. You become a constellation point. Think about it. A single star is beautiful, yes, but it's the connection between stars, the patterns they form across the vast dark, that guides travelers, tells stories, maps the heavens. Your healed presence, his reclaimed authenticity forged in the fire of ancestral release, together you emit a unique frequency of integrated love. This frequency doesn't just light up your own corner of the universe. It becomes a navigational beacon. It whispers to others lost in their own relational wilderness. Look, this pattern exists. Wholeness meeting wholeness. Masculine and feminine dancing, not dominating. It is possible. You become living proof that the pressure cooker of the twin flame journey doesn't destroy, it distills. It refines the raw ore of human connection into something luminous and guiding. Your very existence as a united, sovereign force becomes a silent, powerful affirmation, echoing through the collective psyche. This love, this depth, this healing, it's attainable, it's real. So when you witness the lingering shadows, the moments where old ghosts sigh or his newfound vulnerability feels fragile as spun glass, breathe, Radiant One. Don't mistake this for backtracking. See it as the necessary ebb to the flow, the quiet integration after the symphony's crescendo. The gem is still settling into its new form. The constellation is still defining its brightest points. This is the sacred maintenance of the miracle. Tend to it with the gentle, fierce tenderness of a master jeweler inspecting their finest work. Not with fear of flaws, but with awe for the masterpiece emerging. Your steadfastness now isn't about holding a hard line. It's about holding the sacred space where this new, integrated reality can root deeply, flourish wildly. It's the patient gardener knowing the deepest roots take the longest to anchor, but they ultimately support the most magnificent bloom, the breathtaking truth. This union you fought for, wept for, evolved for. It's just the beginning of the real magic. It's the launch pad, not the landing. Because a love forged in this depth, tempered by ancestral healing and anchored in soul sovereignty, becomes an unstoppable creative force. It's no longer just about the two of you. It's the energy through which something entirely new wants to be born into the world. A collaboration, a creation, a shared purpose that hums with the unique frequency only your combined essences can generate. It's the diamond and obsidian gem finally set into a crown meant for a new kind of kingdom, or perhaps ground into pigments to paint a fresco the world hasn't yet imagined. What wants to emerge from the crucible of your union? That's the next thrilling chapter waiting just beyond the horizon, shimmering with potential only your specific alchemy can unlock. The loom is strung, the threads are vibrant. Are you ready to weave the tapestry only your twin souls can envision? The pattern is already whispering. Lean in, listen. The greatest co-creation is calling.